Welcome to the Overwatch League 2023 Summer Stage Qualifiers East. This was a duo that you weren't expecting to see today. It's me, Avril, with Leg Day, and I'm going to be taking you guys through some awesome games. We got, I'm hoping, a real banger to start things out with. But it's interesting, you know, we're into, week 3 now? The results are starting to really show in terms of who's on top and who isn't.
Yeah, the results are starting to show. Some of them might be somewhat misleading. We'll dig into that deeper as we get into what might be our premier matchup of Seoul Infernal versus Dallas Fuel. But we're definitely starting to see some crystallizing trends, including some teams that maybe we didn't expect to be losing quite so much, like Guangzhou, who bounced back after mid-season madness, basically non-existent, and Hangzhou Spark are kind of in this middle ground now, where we were expecting them to really come into their own as the double flanker meta is looking still incredibly strong, but somehow it's not clicking just as well as it did before.
Well, it's, you know, things are getting wild in the second half of the season here, which, you know, produces some interesting results, makes the games unpredictable. In my opinion, that also makes the games very interesting. You know, it's the kind of thing where you'll be on the edge of your seat, not quite sure how it's going to pan out, which I'm sure will give plenty of fans heart attacks. But, yeah, decent docket today. 4 Overwatch League teams, rather, 2 contenders teams on that docket. And, well, I think a big test for Dallas today is, you know, we'll start highlighting our first match in just a second here between Infernal versus Dallas, where both teams so far, I believe, are actually undefeated so far this stage. Infernal, they are on, what, a 3-0, 4-0? And Dallas are also on a 4-0. Actually, there we go. They're perfectly even. 4-0 with an 11+ map differential each.
Yeah, both having dropped 1 map. For the Seoul Infernal, they dropped that to Contenders Team Poker Face in our first week. And for Dallas Fuel, they actually dropped that last week. They, dropped it to Shanghai, which is actually the only team in their 4 matches that we were going to talk about that's actually an Overwatch League team. They've beaten 3 contenders teams out of the 4 that we have in our docket here, in order to actually get to 4-0. So they're quickly running out of contenders teams to bully, and they had a little bit of trouble against Shanghai, who are one of our lowest rated Overwatch League teams at the moment, except, of course, Guangzhou Charge.
And for Infernal, it's 2-2, right? It's 2 Overwatch League teams, 2 contenders teams, but the 2 Overwatch League teams are both the Joes, which historically so far this year you would have said have been with the Infernal in that top 3 in the upper half of the league for this particular region. So there, in terms of wins so far, the quality of the wins certainly higher. And now we have our matches for today: 4-0 Infernal versus 4-0 Dallas Fuel, Dreamers Dynasty, Spark Poker Face.
Gotta tell you, one thing that we definitely have in the East over the West is the color palettes of our dockets. Amazing compared to the West. But they like their blacks and reds. They like to be edgy gamers. We're like, nah, hit me with that pink, brother. I love the pink. Dreamers, of course. I'd say these guys are kind of a sweetheart of the contenders teams that we have here. They definitely have probably the best chance of making it all the way if any team were to make that miracle Cinderella runaway style run to the top. Dreamers are going to be at the top of the list for that, and honestly, they're a team with a huge amount of charm as well, and going up against Seoul Dynasty might be an incredibly important match for some of those players going up against their home team, as it were. But we've got another Seoul that's coming up first. Here's a quick look at the Seoul Infernal.
There he goes. Skewed feels like this needs to be rescued, and indeed it does.
Look at how aggressive he's able to get right now. Everybody's dropping.
And it is just a field day for Zest. Oh my god. M3 has other plans, though. M3 has other plans, though.
And that is the Seoul Infernal. So far, looking still like our top team in the region. This is the team to beat, but I will add a little bit of a caveat today for those that didn't keep up with the Seoul Infernal socials. There's a little bit of news from the Seoul Infernal camp, which is to say that Mag does have COVID and the team is currently playing all in their own houses, self-isolating. So we wonder if that ends up affecting gameplay at all. That means they will not be playing together in the T1 facility as they normally do. And it does seem like every time they play against Dallas, I think last time as well, the last time they faced Dallas in the mid-season madness, they did win, and they did also have COVID back then as well. It is unfortunately the curse of Seoul Infernal versus Dallas.
Yeah, there's always going to be someone who is ill. We're, of course, everyone here at the team wishing our best for Mag's speedy recovery. One thing that definitely highlights how erudite a cast you are, Avril, is that in that hype video, they have Mag popping off, and you're like, this is incredibly reasonable. It's like, you know exactly how to set that expectation, and Mag is definitely a player who had some very high expectations of him coming into the Overwatch League with a very successful run on Runaway previously. Never quite found that potential before, but this year seems to be where Mag is coming into his own, but now Mag has to go up against one of the entrenched big boys of tanks again in Hanbin. So take a look at the Dallas Fuel.
And finally, I think Dallas Fuel in the second half of the year are starting to live up to that championship quality, the championship roster that we knew from last year. 3 out of those members still on this team. And some of the woes from that first stage starting to subside. We talked about Edison Sombra being a little bit subpar in stage 1, now looking much better. Sparkle's Tracer's always been on the up and up. Hanbin didn't look super comfortable in the Winston before. Now that's starting to look much better as well. And MCD and Bliss, you know, the support line that had to fill the biggest shoes, I think, on this entire team, given where Field and Chio were and how dominant they still are this season. They've started to really step up as well. In fact, MCD's even won player of the matches. So Dallas Fuel, I think, now on the summer stage are really coming together.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised to see MCD return to this roster, of course, with Rush being the head coach. MCD was a previous scout of Rush on his previous dynastic team in Contenders, Element Mystic, from which I believe almost all of these players except Edison and Bliss came. Bliss a little bit too young for that, I do think. Here's our lineup
Bliss was on Gen G. He was on Gen G at the time,
so they were contemporaries. Yeah, contemporaries, but not part of Rush's initial stable. But that was a pretty successful tournament for Gen G. I remember them having some, they had Glister on their team as a Doomfist at that time. If you have the time, go back and watch those Gauntlet VODs in 2019. Bloody beautiful tournament. Here's a quick look at our Tracer stats.
And Zest has been one of the more dominant Tracers that we've had so far. So it's, you know, it's interesting when you look at it head to head. And Sparkle stats have been pretty phenomenal as well. In fact, better than Zest almost across the board. I will say that the caveat here is that Sparkle and the Dallas Fuel have had, I would say, easier opponents when you consider 3 contenders teams plus Shanghai Dragons. Zest and the Infernal have had to go up against both the Joe teams and 2 contenders teams, so it's been slightly more difficult. But, you know, the real look of Sparkle's Tracer today in terms of, well, how much has he improved? How much better does he look? Because year on year, it has been a steady upward trajectory. But Zest is, I think, one of the top Tracers, if not the #1 in this region.
Yeah, you got to respect Zest. If you do not account for the Zest Tracer when you're making your battle plan against the Seoul Infernal, he is going to tear you asunder, and then some more on top of that. We're likely going to be seeing plenty of Tracer as we head over to Oasis. Of course, University can always throw a couple of curveballs our way. We've seen teams actually be quite adamant, in many cases, about not moving off of our standard meta composition of a Winston and a double flanker for University, when sometimes we kind of expect that.
And looking at the rest of the map pool here as well, unfortunately, nothing extremely good for Hanbin, because if you're the Dallas Fuel, what you really want to see is the Circuit Royale in there. Hanbin, one of the best Sigmas historically that we've had in the world. Mag would struggle in that particular matchup. It being Dorado instead means it's probably a little bit better for Mag. You can even play ball on Dorado if you really, really want. But generally speaking, yeah, I'm looking across the board. Should just be Winston, Tracer, Sombra across the board. It's what Dallas have been starting to really get good at recently, and Seoul Infernal, well, I think they've been good at this the entire year.
Yeah, both of these teams very unlikely to stray from our standard composition. Dallas, like you said, renewed vigor on the standard comp. They had a weak beginning on it. They were trying to find the identity, trying to integrate Bliss and MCD, and in the end didn't work out amazingly. But now it's looking a lot better.
Tell you what, if we end up playing some Ram compositions, that is going to be where Dallas Fuel also have a lot of strength. So, starting things out on the mirror. Edison first hack on the jump pad Mega. It's always a good start for the Sombra.
Good territory control. MCD can use that for additional healing if needed. That's a beautiful nade, but pretty quickly going to be discounted here as Mag taking plenty of damage, but the loving hands of Skewed going to be adapted to that rather quickly.
Zest just taking out the entire backline. Dallas Fuel no healing now. Everyone's super low HP. And speaking of low HP, I actually saw the Seoul Infernal team. They got pretty low in there as well. Mag, Skewed, MN3 and all the rest. They just were not able to be cleaned up. I don't know how Zest assassinated the backline the way he did, but Blitz fell. MCD falls afterwards. Dallas Fuel difficult to contest after that. And they also, by the way, did have the early Mega Pack hack as well that we did note. It kept them up a little bit without supports. First fight going the way on Seoul Infernal with Zest really taking charge.
Oh, MCD going to be taking some pot shots here from Skew. That might be some danger that could be given over. But for now, MCD, or rather Zest, playing a little bit more conservatively, just trying to draw these flankers into the web, play within the LOS of Skew to make sure there's that constant support. But if it's not available, it needs to go elsewhere. Unbin outdueled on the top. MN3 was waiting up there. And the Brigitte has just been playing ring around the Rosie on top of this area. It's just impossible to reach for the Tracer.
One area that I think for Dallas Fuel that they can take advantage of was that Edison was ahead of MN3. That's now no longer the case. And possible late delays here. MCD still off the map at the same time as Mag got slept. And Mag now looking for number 2. Both supports into the drink. Or whatever the hell's at the bottom of that pit. I have no idea, actually. The Seoul Infernal, 1 ultimate fight 1. 50% now on board. And Dallas Fuel, they still just have the 1 final blow so far. That was onto Zest earlier in the first fight.
Joker moment there for MCD. Still gets to sleep, but the slap goes through. So down into the pit with them. MN3 stalking behind. Now Edison is going to be without a translocator, but of course the pressure isn't really there. He wasn't decloaked, so can easily set up on another engagement here as Zest going to be dueling pulse onto a Sparkle, but the EMP is going to be the most important.
Bliss needs... Oh my god, okay, they've actually capped Edison. I was going to say Bliss needs this rally to come up through. Finally has, and with MN3 translocating away, Edison is free to use his EMP, instantly assassinates Mag. No fix for Skewed to go for the save there, no nano boost to come through from Skewed either. Might not have had the LOS, but that was a big loss for the Seoul Infernal. Yeah,
Seoul Infernal don't look like they want to particularly fight for the point of that. They just give it up without Mag, realizing, hey, we don't want to force over more ult charge. Maybe could have got a couple of more ultimates out, but Zest might find themselves in a 1 versus 3 here. Has to be careful about the extrication, and indeed he is.
Mag in trouble again. This time he's a lot safer, and this time I think Skewed is watching him eagle-eyed as MN3 looks at the backline eagle-eyed as well. Needs to get a kill. The supporter will do so. Can they get MCD as well? Bliss down. I mean, that's the rally gone, and with Mag diving in, it's the backline now deleted for the Dallas Field. Note that a Seoul Infernal's on 89, so this could be last fight. Dallas, they still need to reset. They might not have time.
Unbin's going to likely die here as well. Edison's gone as well. Yes, there's a hacked pack, but it won't help you. And Zest is trying to take you down. Skewed gets the final blow. And there it is, 100% to 25. Thus far, Seoul Infernal looking a little bit cleaner on these dives.
Seoul Infernal, again, they only had the 2 deaths, right? We talked about Zest dying in that first fight, but he already deleted the backline, so at that point, he's done his job. Mag dying to the EMP of Edison in the middle of that round as well. That was the only real team fight that Dallas Fuel were able to take away. Take a look at this Mag moment again. He really wanted this primal. And like you said, managed to get the slap in just as the sleep dart hit, so unlucky for MCD.
Yeah, every Animane in the audience currently cringing in pain as Mag gets the free low kill to MCD. Alright, Dallas Fuel. It's a little bit different. This is, of course, part of the Nouveau meta, bringing out the Echoes.
Okay. Gardens is kind of favorable for Flyers. I didn't expect both teams to go for the Echo, though. I thought teams on Gardens even would still try and stick mostly to the Tracer Sombra. Echo off it is, and this is one of Sparkle's better heroes as well, but it is also one of Zest's best, so Sparkle's test doesn't end here. In fact, it continues. MN3 Tracer, by the way, is a rarity. We don't normally get to see this.
That's a great anti right there. Gets Unbin low, but Bliss still going around with the mace, doing their best. MCD wants to duel, can't quite connect the shot. This is a lot of wasted time. The heals need to go onto Bliss, but they can't be delivered. And Seoul Infernal, they managed to just win out with the Rumble against both the supports.
I mean, I can hardly blame MCD there because Zest was on half HP. You hit a couple of shots and he's down, but MCD could not connect the hits onto Zest. And as you mentioned there, also wasn't healing, so what a waste of time for the Dallas Field. Trying to equalize things because Zest did also outdeal Sparkle, took Sparkle down, I believe, in a 1v1. Pretty low numbers for both teams. It went down to something like a 3v3 there, but Zest still being alive, ton of damage, 74% to Sparkle's 41. Certainly see the difference in the damage, and Summer Qualifiers once again winning the neutral, holding at the point. will have a couple of the first ultimates online as well, notably on the support line. Edison so far with the Tracer pulse bomb, but DPS and Dallas Fuel just dead.
The high ground to work with here for Soul Infernal is so important. We saw how close Edison got to getting that kill onto Skewed, but you've got so much cover to work with, and it's just so difficult to try and get.
He's doing it again.
He's doing it again. Oh no, MCD. Oh, my poor guy.
Yep.
So hard.
Yeah, he's hitting up the drive-through late at night. He wants McDonald's again, twice in a row, baby, on Oasis. And now for the Soul Infernal. It just doesn't really end here. Dallas Fuel still need to look for this reset. They still have good ultimates coming online. Still got 4 ultimates about to be played with, and about to be 5 as well. So in that regard, they have a decent amount of advantage. But can they actually get in? Because it's been difficult for them to sort of penetrate the point.
Yeah. Skewed sniping you down. Nothing to sniff at. That and a DPS can be very much to deal with when there's not much healing to be done. Edison right now eyeing up a support. A stick would be ideal here, and a 3-man dive onto Skewed is huge. The system mag in the back, take out both for supports. Dallas Fuel are evaporating in the back, but it's a forward line that we're looking at here, because they've done more than enough. Zest, fancy footwork, gets away from the Winston, but unfortunately the Fists of Fury, much too much for a time traveler. It's like a punch up in a pub car park in Greenwich, as Mag is going to try and get the finish here. They do need healing. Bliss has returned. Someone's got a touch.
Yeah, they managed to get that touch in there, and the healers are back, and they still have a nano to play through. That's going to be the one advantage for the Dallas Fuel. It's been Harbin to survive this, and Harbin, I think, has been the prime member to allow Dallas Fuel to remain on this point. In fact, they've kind of actually won this fight now. It's going to be Soul Infernal leaving the point instead. So despite killing both Bliss and MCD, Soul Infernal are not going to be able to stay on this point. They lost Skewed as well, but it was one support for 0 on the side of Infernal versus Fuel. Now the nano comes through. It's going to be on Sparkle.
MN3 looking to try and find some pressure here with a pulse bomb. 2 supports close together, but none going close to the wayward pulse bomb. Sparkle wants to try and win out on the Echo, tracking through the trees, finding Zest. Yes, smells lemony over here. I'll throw my beam in. And now a quick reset to some poke. There's still that pressure on the point coming through from MN3, constantly pocketed from afar.
Harbin was on 1 HP, by the way. Both all 3 of Harbin, MCD, and Bliss fire netted out. Very low HP, but with Zest down and MN3 nowhere to be seen, one could really take advantage of that moment. That would have been Dallas Fuel's backline once again crumbling, and it might end up being fixture Skewed crumbling here. If Sparkle's got anything to say about it, rather Edison. Can't quite connect though. They'll still hold on to the point. Down on to Mag now.
Disengage. Looks good thus far, but finding MCD in a corner is not going to be ideal. The beat down of Brigitte should be more than enough to keep them alive. The disengage! What a timing on the stun there from Bliss. Excellent throughput, making sure that Winston can't remain. And a whip shot as well. Crazy boy on the Brigitte, I'll give you that. And Fixer might have over-invested here.
He's trying to keep the team alive, and if Soul Infernal don't win this one, it's going to go double 99. Spark with the extra add into play. Going to cause some problems for the Soul Infernal, who don't want any more of this particular fight. What a trade as well. Harbin dies at 99, no primal. The Mag goes down in a trade, so both tanks are out of the fight, and Dallas Fuel still hold on. The extra duplicate with the team up. Now they're going to have first nano as well. Dallas Fuel in a good position to maybe take this round away.
Yeah, Dallas Fuel, they've also forced Soul Infernal back into those more supplanted positions, looking for a stick. It hits the ground instead. It's going to be MCD staying alive, and Sparkle looking to take some lives for himself. The nano damage of the Echo is considerable, and Skewed finds it out the hard way. Edison elsewhere wins the Tracer Door, no doubt with the help of some very safe supports. And Dallas Fuel will bring this one back most likely, unless there's a miracle from Mag, but it's far from likely.
Just Zest now, and his duplicate has run out. That means no one else really alive for the Soul Infernal. And Dallas Fuel, they had a difficult start on this round, but they really did bring it back. For me, the pivotal fight had to be the one where Harbin, Sparkle, and Edison kept the game up, kept the game alive. Harbin primals, there were no supports to play with. MCD Bliss blows both down. Harbin's primal on its own, with a little bit of damage support from Sparkle and Edison, seemed to be enough.
More than enough. Here's look at what Edison managed in that final fight.
That was the trade.
That's the perfect trade. That's all you need. Nice assist from a whip shot there as well. Was that sleep as well? Woo, okay.
Everyone got in there. Like, if they don't kill Mag, I think it's over, because Harbin dies at 99.
Yeah.
It's really bad Fuel in that situation.
Hello.
Also, by the way, I did tease the fact that if we were going to go towards Ram comps, that is going to be a bit of a specialty for Fuel. Love me some Sparkle main, Harbin on any sort of brawl tank. Bliss alive should be okay. Well, Harbin goes off the map as well, so keeping anybody alive for Dallas Fuel might be a challenge.
Oh, the sadness of the tanks is truly in the running here. The hack, the anti, the sleep, and then the boop. Sparkle put up the wall, of course, to try and help Hunbin's...
I'm sad. I'm sad Fixer only got 11% off booping Hunbin off the map.
Yeah. The economy is not built to help a little frog. It's built for top-down, trickle-down autonomics. Crazy.
Sojourn is going to be the key pick for Edison. John Sojourn back into play. Which is part of the other reason why this top is really good for the Dallas, despite quote-unquote losing the first skirmish there to the first fight. They still count first. Hunbin respawns, as does Bliss, and the Soul Infernal. They didn't really get to capitalize on the fact they killed two. He does have an EMP on lineup. He's got a good flank here. Oh, actually, not really. You can see him on the right side, so he doesn't really have a good setup just yet. Mag, though, the deep dive.
MCD forced maybe to use the immortality field, but for now Mag's just going buck wild. Everywhere he looks, there's a victim to be bullied, and bullying there is aplenty. Dallas Fuel unable to build up towards something to try and mitigate that dive early like an ant matrix.
Just in case.
I respect the tempo coming through from the Soul Infernal because it didn't seem like MCD was in MN3 rather. 3-letter name starting with M. Wasn't in a good position to go for. Wasn't in a good position to go for the EMP, so Mag just goes in instead, and now the EMP is going to come through 4-man hit, but no kills.
Check out that peeling shield there from Ramasha as well. Things might get a little bit complicated here as the Blizzard is, it's ambitious. I'll give you that. Fixer feeling ambition of his own, trying to take down a world beater in Sparkle, and indeed he can do. There goes a stick. It's beautiful onto
man.
Bliss. The silence of the frogs is deafening, and Zest has demanded it readily.
This is the thing, right? Zest now doesn't even have a tracer that he needs to contend with. He's free roaming across the map in a double pulse bomb. Send Dallas Fuel back to the spawn. It really is, on this particular round on University, Edison versus Zest, because Edison's also been really sending the heat through with those rails. John Sojourn for sure in this matchup with the overclock in play with no real defense against him until Fixer finds a sound barrier. Mag, by the way, on a Doom now, which is interesting in that kind of composition. Doom still not in a good place at the moment, so we'll see if Mag finds any success.
Take advantage of everyone being grouped up to get those multiple stuns. Just to disengage for now. But don't want to deal with Johnny Boy and his overclock. Oh, Bliss locking on to a target, but elsewhere it's Mag trying to shut down that Sojourn, knowing just how much can be achieved. But the immortality field is too much power for one Doomfist to try and get through. And this one should be a clean clear for Dallas Fuel, but the question is, can they keep it after such a large investment in that fight?
Oh, both teams used the sound barrier there. Bliss had a slightly later one that allows Dallas Fuel to stay in. On top of the fact that they also play the Annihilation, Soul Infernal lacked the damage. Mag now straight back over towards Winston. Yeah, wasn't feeling good about the Doom. I'm not going to lie to you. Pretty sure Winston is going to be better than Doom 99% of the time. Soul Infernal just had no ability to get anyone down in that particular fight when their sound barrier started to run out.
Cheeky ammo field as well from MCD, putting it in the doorway made it very hard for anyone to get an angle to actually hit it. Oh, nice interception there from Bliss. That's going to minimize the time up on the Nano. There's the immortality field, and now it's time to flee away instead. Pulse doesn't get too much, but the EMP can do even more. MCD's down and Hunbin very low here, but these Fists of Fury certainly are scary. Still, those flankers getting into the room nice and fast, able to try and take down that tank. It's difficult to try and do a Lucio in here, you know, especially when his mates turn up. It's Sparkle going mad, just picking up whoever dares remain. Soul Infernal must have lost their backline somewhere along the way.
Sparkle's certainly done a lot there. He really cleaned up the Soul Infernal, including Zest at the bottom end of that fight. And now, Dallas Fuel, they've had a rough run of this Oasis map, but towards the end now, at the end of University, they will be the first team to hit 99. They are the team that currently holds ultimates, at least just the one. And tempo-wise, it's Soul Infernal that have to back out, or at least they're trying to.
His victim. Oh, the sound barrier is going to land. Everybody is afflicted. Plenty of cushioning on that sound barrier. But now, big anti. This could be everything they need to try and take down Edison. Still escaping that wicked. Too powerful. Sliding around. And guess what? Hunbin's keeping everyone at bay as well. Almost another annihilation. Good to go. Hunbin's fallen, though. In all of that, still it's Edison who manages to find one, find two. And that might well be a map at the hands of Edison.
Looking like it. Soul Infernal, no further players alive, no touch. And the Dallas Fuel, it turns out they can indeed play with the big dogs. 4-0 up so far in the second half of the season, and we were questioning, are they going to be good enough to take down the Soul Infernal? And early on for Oasis, we looked at City Center. It was like, oh, this is not looking too good for Dallas, but things got much better. You go through Gardens, it's very close. You get to University, we talk about the Ramcom, we talk about the Broadcom, talk about Edison on the Sombra, and they deliver.
No, nobody gets to environmentally kill MN3 or MCD 3 times in a row, Avril. That's where he draws the line. I'm going to draw the line at the end of this map as we head over to our break.
Good in map number 1, Oasis on their way, and we'll head to Midtown next. Seoul Infernal, great start, and things started to get quite sour towards the end, and they actually had a good opening fight on University as well. They got 2 kills but then lost to neutral. That was very perplexing.
And after losing the neutral as well, we saw Sparkle move over onto the Trace to try and deal with Zest, knowing that, hey, Zest uncontested is going to be a real pain over the course of this map. And on the other side, we saw other overcommitments to potential swaps coming through from Seoul Infernal, the Doom Festival things coming out. Maybe trying to shut down an overclock with a quick stun, but the Immortality Field was putting out plenty of survivability to deal with that. MCD, credit to him. Some very solid patience on the Immortality Field to make sure that it was going to be well suited to keeping that Sojourn alive, where Edison could really pop off as we head to Midtown.
It was one of those one life things where Mag came back on the Doom, possibly to try and get back in the fight quickly, but then ended up just playing through the full life in a full team fight. Don't think that'll happen again for Midtown.
Yeah.
Maybe in a really tight OT situation.
In a different meta
We've had,
maybe as well.
We've had some interesting OT situations on Midtown, if anyone remembers what happened last week. But, none of those teams are currently playing this match, so don't worry about it.
Don't speak of the forbidden words, Avril. We're just going to have some nice, normal 9 to 5 working class Overwatch here on Midtown.
Blue collar Overwatch.
Yeah. Clock in, clock out.
Clocking out. Exactly.
Tip my cap to the boss man. Get paid. Go home. Midtown is one of those maps where Winston has been very popular on second point with good reason.
I think he's been popular on all the points, really.
Yeah, Winston's been popular universally. I'm thinking on APAC, though, we did have a couple of teams that wanted to run the Zaya on second point, which tilted me to no end.
I think Piggy did that, and that was one of those situations. I wouldn't say that's indicative of the current meta in terms of, like, where the real preferences are. That was more of a Piggy moment where he's confident on the Zaya, he wanted to give it a go.
No more Piggy moments, big F.
We do miss those Piggy moments, but let's feel now. Sparkle's probably not. This will be a scouting arrow, then back over towards the Tracer. And just standard. Instant Tracer Sombra across the board here. A little bit of early damage from MCD, who needs to not die. We have also, by the way, seen teams that if they really want to dig in their heels for the 8-point defense, some teams have played Torb and some anti-dive stuff, a little bit of Ash there as well, but not these teams.
Oh. Edison baiting out the translocate there to try and figure out where the regular callback spot from N3 is going to be. Keep playing a little bit close here, but obviously trying to keep it a little bit tighter to make sure that it's only one blink away for us to peel away something like a Sombra if that is going to be needed. Now, big anti coming through onto Hanbin. Oh, he is. Yeah, he is in so much trouble right there, and that's going to mean that Bliss is overextended as well. There should be a full wipe.
I mean, Bliss was waiting for the anti to fade away so he can throw some cookies, but Hanbin got caught out. Jumped to the ledge, but unfortunately no one could really save him there. Good damage pressure from the Infernal to push Hanbin over towards the edge. For the first minute, handedly going the way of the Seoul Infernal, and the ultimates come online nice and quickly, especially MN3.
Yeah, that is
you know what? Kind of MCD as well. Kind of.
Yeah. This is going to be a consistent theme. It's just how language and the brain works. We're not made for three-letter words going together. Hanbin goes solo. Edison's been taken out in the middle of all of this as well. Smoker tries to bring it back. Yes, to the pulse on, but it's more of a Hail Mary, a shot in the dark. Unfortunately, that shot was made blind.
Thankfully, Seoul Infernal got something out of that because they expended a whole pulse bomb. They couldn't quite get Hanbin, but at least get Edison, which slows down the EMP further. Speaking of which, MN3 is just waiting for the field to walk forward. So we can find that quickly backline EMP, and I think it's just solo onto Hanbin who gets nanoed.
And they're going to give him that damage reduction that he needs to maybe survive this one. Right now, trying to pick a target, going on to that rally. It's a little bit dangerous, so instead controlling the high ground, trying to segment off those supports, which does mean that Fix can just run on forward with the nano. And now, Hanbin's going to segment it away from the remainder of his team, and with no shield to protect himself, can't really make too much of a dive. It's Edison, though, punishing Mag, getting rid of all of that health in short order, knowing that there's no nano to try and save a wayward Winston. Should be an easy cleave here, and Dallas Fuel are going to be able to get a huge amount of space.
They'll get 2 ticks for sure. Infernal still have the ability to go for the retake. Mag was the only player that went down, and he's already back with the Primal. Fixin needs to make sure he survives here as well, but the backline of the Infernal are in a lot of trouble. So much trouble. And Mag has slept.
2 Primals on the board. Zest, a lot to deal with here, but does have a monkey at his back. Sorry, a scientist, rather. Hanbin, for now, trying to track down that Tracer. A right-click could do it. The Hanbin snipes are good, but Sparkle snipes are better. It's a messy fight, Avril, but in the end, Dallas Fuel will get their man.
Yeah, it's a full backline trade. Nobody had supports there, but Dallas Fuel. Primal versus Primal. Sparkle versus Zest, and Sparkle once again getting a ton of frags in that particular engagement. Dallas Fuel with only 1 tick left to count. They'll be able to get that for sure in Infernal. A reasonably good start to the A-point defense. They won a couple of fights, but once they lost Mag with the EMP from Edison, things got sour real quickly. Speaking of Edison, he'll be able to match him again on the EMP. For a much better EMP from MN3 this time, or at least one that will get a kill.
Yeah, MN3 looking for a good AoE here. Needs to be in a position maybe where that anti-nade can be thrown in onto these supports. For now, good spacing.
Oh, are they going to get him? He's really low.
Yeah, oh my, the long range sleep. That's crazy. Nano here as well. MN3 absolutely bodied by the Dallas Fuel support line. And Nano given over onto Mag, yes. But might not have the cleave to actually do enough damage here. Both supports are just unaccosted, readily moisturized in their lane, putting out all the healing they could want and more. The counter-attack is going to be strong. There's the pulse bomb, though. Edison somehow either stuck or couldn't get away from that one in time. Maybe a translocator taken out in the back line. As Zest just begins to tear on through, and it's the 3rd iteration of a dive that gives Seoul Infernal their win.
Now, they might not have won the EMP exchange, but once Dallas Fuel start to push forward and try and take that bridge, Seoul Infernal were ready. They have the anti-dive there. Rally pop from Fixer, and they weren't going anyway. Full team light. Gotta say, though, I'm still so impressed with what Bliss did to keep MCD alive. Just the whip shot, shield bash, all connecting on the prime targets. Body blocking as well to make sure that MCD couldn't get hit. So many things that he had to do well in that particular situation to keep MCD up. Unfortunately, Dallas Fuel just could not translate that into a further team fight, a bit further down on the map on that particular bridge. So, are getting stuck on B a little bit here, and we'll be stuck a little bit more with Dallas Fuel probably having to reset with that deck.
Great shield here as well. Blocked off a bunch of heals from MCD for being able to keep everyone on the Dallas Fuel topped up. This is such a difficult area to attack against a diving team because MN3 is pretty free. No matter how he would like to go and hunt down Edison's translocated, we've seen Edison die multiple times.
This first opening area B, I think, is the most difficult, just because of all the rafters, all the extra areas that Seoul Infernal on the defense can play. You have construction on the right side there as well, where Mag is currently sitting. All these different angles for the attackers to try and deal with. It is not easy at all. So if they can get past this area, I think Dallas Fuel can make some good distance, but easier said than done with 1 minute left to go.
Yeah, think of all the safety that Stu has as well. Just on that back window, has an excellent angle and is basically unstickable for a Tracer as well until they drop on down. Sparkle hoping to try and make that real. Let's go awry.
Wow. He just got melted. It looked like a solo as well. Did he just solo Hanbin out? Surely not. Hanbin had Primal. Nano was there as well. And Fuel, because they lose their main tank, but they have to lose too much more else. I think Hanbin should have probably Primal that.
Yeah, hard agree. When you get in that deep and you've finally taken Scoot off his perch, where
committed.
Mag's no longer just sitting there for free, you've got to commit to it.
MN3 on Zest.
Oh, well, he's got 2 supports here. That might be even better for now. Just playing with their hearts and minds.
Fuel need more than it. Got to up the tempo. Zest has got to come back very quick as well because it's a Tracer. They need more than that. Solo EMP.
Edison's used his own somewhere. Hanbin finally uses the primal range. Oh no, and Zest didn't even die. Pulse Bomb goes out. Don't see any kills there. It's actually Mag who's peeling them away from it. It's a mad fight. Can they touch the point? Indeed they can. Overtime now in session. Dallas Fuel needs to stay on this cart. That's going to make players vulnerable as they need to move away from the high ground to stay on the cart itself. Hanbin Nano, yes, as well, trying to grab themselves Mag. But in the midst of all of this, things start to fall through the cracks. He's stuck in the plant pot. My man's been absolutely vegetated by the Seoul Infernal. Running low on members, running low on hope, running low on ults, and Dallas Fuel have run out of time.
And that's the most important factor. Like I said, 1 minute left to go. That beat. They eventually did do that, but my goodness, they got so much more work to do. And that OT didn't have enough resources left. Hanbin super pressured out once again. He still goes back to the fight where Zest somehow gets solo kill to Hanbin. I don't think this is the particular moment, but this will be Zest getting a pulse. Now remember this one. This.
Edison.
Hanbin ends up going down. No primal pop, no nano from MCD, and they lost all tempo. Dallas Fuel were also committed in that fight with multiple members pretty far forward. So that's a fight that you want to continue. Not take a preventable loss on a plan.
Truly heartbreaking for Dallas Fuel. By no means is it already lost, though. A first point hold could definitely happen in Dallas Fuel. Looking to bring out something a little bit spicy, a bit of picante in order to try and make that happen.
Hold, because if you're gonna really, like I said earlier, if you want to really try and dig your heels in, I mean, you could also play the Torb here, but they don't want to go too hard in that area. So the Ashe is going to come through. But on the Ram once more, try and hold space, hold ground. You have to do a really good job of playing the anti-dive here. I do appreciate the fact that Sparkle's still on the trace, so you need some flank control. You can't just allow either Zest or M3, but primarily Zest to control flanks and get behind your team. So that Sparkle versus Zest situation is going to be very important to allow the Dallas Fuel backline, which now includes the Ashe, to stay planted where they are.
Yeah, Sparkle's gaming flowchart changes significantly here. Play that skirmish and patrol. For now, though, interesting that Seoul Infernal decided to go for the Kiriko here, realizing they don't need the whip shot to try and deny something like a Winston engage, and preferring more healing or maybe even better off-angle control, knowing that Dallas Fuel might not be able to dive and punish a Kiriko.
It's worse healing for Zest, though. So we talk about the Sparkle versus Zest situation. I think Bliss throwing some health packs across the boom. That being said, that MCD just goes down a skewed long range with some help from M3. Now Harbin's on an island. Harbin's stuck.
Oh, not a double. Not a double. This is not going to be a first point hold, boys. There's only so much you can hope for when the Ana gets double entry frags. Shades of Jonak from our boy Skewed. A Seoul Infernal should be cruising through this one easily, and Harbin's like, okay, fine, experiment over. Close the lab.
Well, it was just an 8-point D. So they've, at this point, that is waving the white flag for A. They know they've accepted the losses. Must be a B defense. And unfortunately, 5 minutes is going to be a long time to defend. Seoul Infernal getting A in the one attempt with Fixit. Can Seoul Infernal get past the early portion of B, though? I'm guessing yes, because M3 has a gigantic EMP advantage.
Yeah, and Banana as well is just going to give a little bit of additional sturdiness over. 2 mag, MCD is behind on that, but that's good tempo. Brought over by the Anti-Nate, just keeps things at bay. The Sleep not going to be getting too much, and Hum is just under this consistent pressure. As Mag tries to section off the cart. Yeah, the Nano finally up. They decide to use it here. Just slowly erode that space and finally get Mag into a position. Oh, Sparkle's dead. This one might be banjaxed already.
Dude, where's the Nano, please? Oh, you need to keep Mag alive. Wow. Seoul Infernal. Zest down as well. They just got to keep the pressure up. I mean, you had Dallas Fuel backs against the wall, and they just did not pressure them down. So conservative on the ultimates, and they lose Mag for no reason. That is really sad.
Yeah, and the window's gone now as well, right? Dallas Fuel have the EMP to match MN3, and now they can play these rafters. We're going to be in the same trap once more. I hope you guys like this portion of Midtown. We're going to be here a while.
They need the Seoul Infernal to make some mistakes. They need to trap Infernal here. Double EMP. Well, you can only nano one player. It's going to go to Mag, so Zest falls.
Zest down. That's going to make things even more difficult for Nano. Unable to stay up there against Hundred for too long. That's a beautiful anti. Yeah,
that just went back to spawn.
Yeah. It's a disengagement, Nano. Safety first. Please make sure
that
you're...
It's a keep Mag alive, Nano, and that's going to be it. But now M3 EMP kind of has to go big, but there's double support ultimates online, so there's difficulty there as well.
Ooh, okay, this is an interesting choice of pushing cart, but Winston is going to make sure that there's a little bit less space for Skewed and Fix to try and get here. How does Skewed and Fixer rejoin this fight is the question. Do they drag Dallas Fuel's flankers away to try and go for a bigger fight? It's indeed Bliss who shuts down for now. But look at this. Humbin can absolutely troll this backline and just try and make sure that Skewed is consistently poked down, get those cookies. Apply more rage.
Dallas Fuel giving away too much payload at the moment. So, and this is the problem. They lose their bridge defense now because they didn't contest below the point at all. This is an issue all the way at the back. We're within one fight territory, and EMP rips across. Can't get a kill though.
Primal Rage finally used this time. Rally's available as well if Bliss needs it. The Fixer goes down first. Oh, it's whip shots for days from Bliss. We saw him on Oasis, and we see him here on Midtown as well. 4.5 minutes has become 2.5, and oh yeah, welcome back to the spin cycle, boys. This one's going to be going around again. It's for Midtown B defense.
Bliss is really delivering now for the Dallas Fuel. The #1 main sport prospect coming out of Contenders Korea last year, coming into the 2023 seasons. Delivering on that promise. Dallas Fuel, Halo, still not in a good position for them, but at least it's rolling back into the underpass. I'm in 3. I don't think he sees a translocator here. I don't know if he's... Maybe there is. Okay. Yeah, there is. Edison did lose his translocator. Looks like he's okay, though. He'll get out. That's one kill that Infernal really wanted, but didn't get.
Yeah, gives info over as well, but like MN3 is not in that fight. He's where my translocator was. EMP ready to go here. You could take away so much of Mag's HP, and indeed they want it. Nano finally going to be a good response coming through from Skewed, keeping Mag alive. Mag Nanos, how do they work? Zest. A pulse bomb in the back pocket. Where's the delivery going to be going? Those supports are packed up tight. You want to get rid of a rally, but Bliss holds up for shield. MCD's down, so that was only healing from Bliss, but that might be all that Dallas Fuel needs. Touch on the car. It's going to be difficult to try and get through here. Just keeping that Inspire up. And N3's playing the kite super well. Out of sight, out of mind. Hanbin gone off to sleep, but it might be Sparkle who turns this one around as MCD getting revenge on Skewed for what happened on A of Midtown.
Late death on the Mag there as well. Could not afford to pop Primal in a losing fight. And Dallas Fuel will end up saving this. Bliss again, showing up in the kill feed. Really quick frag onto Zest. The Soul Infernal, they have to get that raid boss down, but it will still be a very important EMP coming online slightly before Edison as well. M3, good position, great scouting. Sees the entire backline, needs to somehow connect this one with Zest. Can they control the side room? If they do that, they see Edison as well. I mean, they can just get the kill into Edison.
Doesn't want to opt for it. 30 seconds remaining. Hanbin going low, maybe hoping to get out that shield first. The go signal is given. Hanbin cancels the exit, knowing that the Nano's going to give him all that he needs to try and stay in here. Hacked and slept. It's very much for tank experience for Hanbin, but hey, at least you're not dead. You can still fight for your team as Edison's going to be coming back from spawn with his own EMP. A counter punch maybe as everyone's in close. A small room and an EMP, but it is going to be more than enough as Edison takes down their counterpart. 7 seconds remain. How in the world have Dallas Fuel done this? Midtown B is certainly something different. Soul Infernal stall out, and Dallas Fuel hit match point on Hybrid.
I mean, they had one last play to go through, and it just was not good. It was a solo EMP onto Mag. Straight in the line of sight within earshot of MCD. The easiest counter you've ever seen. MCD just says, well, that's just going to be a Nano. Hanbin's going to live. That will be it. Now Edison's got to catch up on the EMP. He does, and it absolutely frags out the Soul Infernal. With no more resources left to go through Soul Infernal, I think that, again, the pivotal fight was won. Had me molding about the Mag unnecessary death. Skewed, needed the Nano in that situation. I don't know if they broke LOS, I don't know what happened, but you just can't allow Mag to die there. The Soul Infernal as well, just failing to, in my opinion, really put the tempo up. When you're ahead, you really got to keep the tempo going, put the pressure on the Dallas Fuel, and that did not happen. Soul Infernal, despite having a 5-minute time bank going to B, was still held up at the beginning of B, and you can't afford to allow that to happen. And Dallas Fuel trying their hardest, and I think it's working. They're trying to get the #1 spot in APAC, and they're leading 2-0. We'll come back and see if they can get the 3-0 after this break. Dallas Fuel 2-0 up in the series versus the Seoul Infernal. We were wondering if the 4-0 from Dallas Fuel so far in the summer stage, does it mean that they are actually back or not? And well, given the 2-0 scoreline versus Infernal, it is looking quite back for the Dallas Fuel. Touching wood. The series is not over yet. Seoul Infernal still might have something to say about it, but those two maps from the Seoul Infernal, unfortunately, it's gone worse, man. They started so well in City Center and Oasis. It's only gotten worse from there.
Oh, we are so baroque right now. MCD and Bliss certainly, like we pointed out at the beginning of this series, stepping into massive shoes on the Dallas Fuel. This championship team, this world beater team. We wondered, is there anyone who can even hold a candle to the previous performances? And in the first half of the season, it looked like, oh, there's no way that it can happen. But in the second half, Bliss definitely has stepped up on the Brigitte. It's a fantastic hero for them. MCD starting to find their place in this roster as well. Dallas Fuel reminding us that this is a roster where at least half of them are world beaters, and MCD and Bliss becoming elite in their own right as we head to Dorado.
Well, it hasn't been smooth sailing, not even in the series either, because early on, MCD and Bliss were getting taken down. Zest in the very opening fight on City Center, like, killed both of them solo. We didn't even get to see it. He just runs to the back line. Bliss dead to Zest on the kill feed. 2 seconds later, MCD death to Zest on the kill feed. Immediately, you're thinking, oh dear, this is going to be the Zest show, isn't it? And, well, now 2 maps deep, MCD and Bliss are no longer dying. The real moment that sold it for me was, again, when they go for the EMP play, and MCD just lives. Bliss doing God's work, keeping him alive. As we head over towards Dorado.
More impactful sleeps from MCD as well. It feels like Skewed is consistently being able to sleep Hanbin, but I think MCD is hitting more sleeps onto MN3 and Zest and these targets who can be effectively executed afterwards as well, and that's allowing for in some of these prolonged fights Dallas Fuel to force out these DPS a little bit more easily.
What you don't understand is that Skewed is going for kills. He's going for the frags, baby.
True. Skewed wants that KD.
DPS.
He wants even more player of the matches. I believe that if you checked out Unknown, famously translated by Unknown's Twitter feed, they did deliver a player of the splits trophy to Skewed for most player of the matches in our spring stage qualifiers. Very sweet.
So, moving into Dorado here, let's talk about the fact that Dallas Fuel, I was going to mention this before we go to the map, but I'll talk about it now anyway. Echo does sometimes get played on A plat, typically on the defense, not on the offense for A. So, Infernal, they're going to play standard here. Sparkle's going to be on one of his old favorites. And he's going to get heavily targeted by MN3. The only thing that Seoul Infernal can do versus Sparkle is to hack him down.
Skewed might look for even more kills. We've seen that occasionally in North America as well, like a random Ana can be the difference between a life and a death for an Echo when they get into these more precarious scenarios where the hacks do come through. Hanbin for now is going to be forced on out. The Carter's now in a problem position. You no longer play the objective as much, just want to try and jostle the high ground and then work the objective afterwards.
Well, Infernal need to find somewhere to actually get a dive going because they've struggled. Mag is trying to counter dive into Hanbin. Can they get Hanbin down? He's hacked and he's naded, but still alive. The payload ever moves forward while this is all happening. In fact, Mag is even further pressured by Sparkle long range. And Sparkle's going to find the backline. They might get skewed off this. Maybe.
Yeah, Nana onto Hanbin. Can the sleep be delivered? Mag swapping on over, wants to get onto MCD, that backline, not vulnerable at all. The Brigitte is in waiting. The Biotic Grenade is there too to make sure there's even more in terms of healing. Edison, the Pulse one does go wide, admittedly, and that's in a little bit of trouble as the rally moves on forward. The shield is taken away. MN3, primo EMP, but still, the damage might have been done here by Dallas Fuel. They still have 3 members alive. They have bulk, they have damage, and they have healing as MCD remains. And Mag, yeah, I'm going to turn tail and run. That's a nope from me, my guy.
Just not enough kills. I think Bliss went down there despite the rally, but MCD surviving means that they can still keep the rest of the team alive. For Seoul Infernal, not going to be the case. Just a 3. Mag, no primal, no ability to stay in the fight. The first point will go the way of Dallas Fuel without really dropping too much. I think only Bliss died, and that was only in the final engagement as well. So the rest of Dallas Fuel, deathless so far on the attacking side. And now coming in online for a few more ultimates. Sparkle could also dive bomb duplicate here, which would allow them to take the high ground.
Yeah, we've seen the meta evolve into a lot of Ana duplications. Those double projectile skill shots, great for someone like Sparkle. so solid on the aim, and this is such a safe space here for MCD. It's going to be basically impossible for Zest to harass from his position down on the cart instead. And there it is. Sparkle. There's the duplicate. The sleep goes awry. And that's going to be a disengage. I believe that Dallas Fuel have lost their momentum here, but they have forced out the rally from Fixer, so that could be greener pastures for a future dive.
Well, it is duplicate traded for rally, so it doesn't come free, and it's going to be the 1-for-1. Debatable on which one you think is a better ultimate in this case, but the Infernal aren't going to be done. They're going to spend more. They're going to get more. Traded for Nano this time. It's Nano for a Primal. Harbin wants it, but he's got no support. It's just him and Edison. Can he do it? It's 2 versus 3 now. With the extra kill to fix it, it actually might be somewhat doable. Oh, just not enough healing. You need the healing, unfortunately. 1000 HP can only keep you up for so long.
Zest wanted to finish that one there, setting the pulse bomb just to try and finish off the Winston. And now a supported dive on the high ground with Sparkle's long range damage does mean that supremacy is going to be here for Dallas Fuel.
Where's him in 3? Need to see the EMP here. If he's in a good position, I think he's down below at the moment, so we'll see the players pushing, and those players are going to be Harbin, Edison. Harbin cut off from supports. This time he'll be able to find Harbin a solo EMP without any pesky nanos from MCD. Noted that that got used a little bit earlier on, so 100% safe for the EMP. And now the question will be if Seoul Infernal want to push a little bit further, try and find another kill. Zest wants it, but isn't going to be able to get the melee onto Edison before being forced to recall. So you'll take that EMP of the Harbin. 1 player dead, still a fight win. Infernal holding.
A great wrap around and homework done there as well by Seoul Infernal to make sure Mag was blocking any incoming heals that could potentially have come through the Hanbin after that EMP. There's Fernando coming through, and Mag knows that this is not going to go amazingly as he stares down the Brigitte in the doorway. Elsewhere, MN3 taken down by Sparkle. Melee to death, potentially having that translocator camped, and now it's panic on the side of Seoul Infernal. Quickly disengaging, getting a safest position for Skewed. It's going to be a swap over. There's the Bardic Grenade. Doesn't actually hit anybody here, maybe just the Brigitte shield instead. And everyone being stuffed into that narrow area does mean that there's going to be considerable danger from the pulse bomb.
Nano's going to be about to be online for Sparkle here as well. No, not quite. Doesn't get to use it. Would have faded anyway as soon as he used it because he didn't have time left to go. Speaking of time, Seoul Infernal going to cut this one close, but with the kill into Edison, looks like it should be enough. Might be an extra pulse bomb expended. It is. Will miss. Kill into Mag is not good for Infernal though. This is still semi-winnable for the Dallas Field, but in lower numbers, that's an issue.
Rally used. There's going to be an execution onto Zest. There's nothing to keep him alive at this range. Look where that shield was placed. Cut off all the healing.
Still coming.
Primal Rage just about. Hanbin keeps on, keeps living. Skew taken elsewhere, but what's happening on the cart? Fix has been taken down by Edison. A well-placed stick. Edison needs healing, needs to stay in here, and Mag is a big, trusty gorilla who keeps this cart contested. Popping the Primal, but he's got to stay in this area. It's going to really limit the efficacy of this ultimate. Could, of course, be burned down as well. Nice tag in there from Zest. Gives a little bit of momentary relapse for Mag as Edison just overplays his hand straight into the grasp of a Seoul Infernal. And with 40 seconds left, Dallas Fuel went in on that fight, and it didn't deliver.
That was pristine from Mag and Zest. The tagging in of the 2 plays, meaning that no one was going to C9 that one. Despite playing from home, seems like the communication is certainly going to be there. Seoul Infernal could have had a really bad moment on Dorada, but they hold on. No supports once again. The Primal's going to be more than enough. And now, final fight for the Dallas Fuel. And they need some more ultimates. About to be double DPS plus Rally versus Nano and Pulse. Rally is not going to come. Rally is going to come through versus the Nano.
No kills coming through from the Pulse Bomb for now. An extra little bit of boop on the bonds of Mag just keeps him airborne for a moment longer. There is a touch on the cart. Sparkle desperately wants this Anna. A double nade would do it. Only gets 1, but Skewed is more than enough of a target. Mag's been antied elsewhere as well. There's purple everywhere. Purple rain does fall upon the Seoul Infernal. That's what happens when you mix blue and red, as Bliss has fallen down as well. Fixer gets away with the rally for now. A stun onto Edison's going to take away his life. MN3 just on the car. It's an EMP turret, boys. Electronic warfare coming in strong for the Demons, as the banger that was promised might well be on its way now.
Yeah, well, it's going to be late in the day for the Seoul Infernal, but they are looking to at least deliver 1 map on their journey to a potential reverse sweep. Brilliant defense on B. Bend, but not broken. Seoul Infernal, what a defense from Skewed and Fixer on that final engagement, where Sparkle goes for the predictable copy on the Ana, lobs in the Bionate, which does catch Skewed, and he goes down to low HP. We talk about the fact that, look, the 1 player Skewed has done a great job of sleeping has been Harbin consistently. With Harbin slept, Skewed stays alive. Mag goes down to 1 HP because his supports are too busy dealing with the dives on Dallas Field. And you see from Edison's POV, who runs after Mag, but he couldn't find him. He didn't get the kill. On Seoul Infernal, they hold on. Mag eventually returns, and EMP is delivered from MN3, and Dallas just have nothing left to play with at that point in time. They had very few resources to start with. Rally was good, but that had to be popped early. Yeah, not much left to play through the end. So, A might have gone poorly for Infernal, but B was brilliant.
Scooter's a wizard, man. An absolute wizard. Edison, just with a little bit of setup here. Of course, can do some homework against the regular Symmetra TP out. You can see that, of course, Harbin's waiting up here as well. Get yourself some free cleave and then disengage to the Sparkle position, potentially. I wouldn't be surprised to see MCD have a set nade for this as well, in case Seoul Infernal are going to roll it out, but it doesn't seem to be the case.
And they're going to be foregoing the Echo here for the defense. Seoul Infernal, they didn't even play it for their own defense. They're not going to play it on the offense either. Back to the wheelhouse of the straight-up dive, which I think in some cases Infernal do prefer as well. See if they can dislodge Harbin off the high ground as he'll be ping-ponging up and down.
A little bit of pressure coming through, just trying to make sure that MN3 can't stay in there to start generating that.
It's got a lot of payload push, see that?
Oh, that is a lot of payload push. Mantis getting it for free. It's free real estate, baby, and Dallas Fuel simply giving it away at this point. Now everyone's moved over down onto the low ground. That's going to be particularly vulnerable for Bliss, who can't get up to high grounds in any fast order. Nice duel off the Winston shield is going to give even more push over to Zest, who keeps Sparkle at bay and keeps him dead too.
#1 payload thief in the entire Overwatch League, I'm afraid, and well, Dallas Fuel got caught napping while they're getting burgled, and that continues now with Bliss on low HP, and Mag will secure it. MCD set as well, could be the next target down, and they're getting rolled on this defense. Unfortunately, they got to keep the rest of the players alive. Can they even recontest? Harbin has to live, and they still need time for MCD to come back in. Cap is going to be there. No contest. This is going to be a cap.
I love Zest dealing with that health pack as well, just minimizing the chance for Edison to heal himself back up. High ground control here for Dallas might well be expensive, but they can instantly be removed by a very well-generated Primal Rage from Mag.
Nano online early as well, so despite Edison being further ahead, Skewed has a bailout option for another player other than himself to actually receive that Nano, who would have died to the EMP. Seoul Infernal will retain pressure on payload. Early days here, obviously, with Zest barely dodging out from the hack, and Edison set up in the backline with a 99% EMP. Could have looked to have gone for that one, but needs Sparkle to somehow connect as well. I think Mem and 3 and Edison bumped into each other
as well. Yeah, may well have touched those submachine guns together. Zest for now, still thieving away. This guy's a rogue, and his build is not going to be changing here on Escort. This is where Tracers thrive. The second you look away, a Time Demon gets into your backline.
Oh, they want Mag.
Trying to... Oh, Mag actually broke Hello West on his Ana as well. Big boo-boo there from the Soul Infernal. That's going to kill their momentum.
That, and he had the Primal as well. They had Primal and Nano Boost to try and save Mag. You could have said that he baited out the EMP, but if he lived, that would have been true. Him dying means that Dallas will actually successfully push the Soul Infernal away. That being said, though, again, you mentioned this, and I talked about it on A, but Zest still got a ton of payload push there.
He's just feeling the mastermind.
No home security for Dallas Field.
Push the buttons. Part of the move. Had it at the old complex in Dallas. Not so much in Korea. The solo EMP onto Sparkle. Even more payload push now, by the way. Your guard dog has been taken on down. Mag has been antied, nanoed, hacked, you name it. Maybe a stun as well can come on through, but 601 HP is more than enough. Hanmin, get down there and say hello to my team, why don't you? Now MCD going to be harassed with attempt to sleep under the car. Everything goes into Bliss. Save my hero. MCD demands that the Brigitte cling to life, but there's going to be even more trouble than that. A well-placed sleep keeps the Winston at bay, yes, but still a trade of the Anas, a trade of the backlines maybe. It's Bliss who's down now. Fixer needs to be a primary target. But
they have to go payload.
Oh yeah, Hanbin's taken out that Brigitte. Payload now demands attention. Hanbin's going to be the one to deal with it for now. And there should be enough here to just bring this down to a steady crawl for the Soul Infernal, who still have 2.5 minutes.
It was just enough time for Hanbin to solo Fixer in a side room as well with the Primal. Because if the payload was any closer, he would have to immediately return and maybe Fixer lives. Fixer going down, Zest to follow. Soul Infernal know they're out of options. M3 isn't close enough to the EMP to make the play happen either. So they give it up, but not before shoving the payload right to the end. And now just under 230 to try and finish this one off.
On payload. Easily taken care of here. A Sparkle goes down, but without Mag, you're not going to be getting into this zone. I hate to break it to you, kiddo. Just playing safe now for Dallas Fuel. Burn the time, keep the positions, keep Seoul Infernal at arm's length as Mag is going to return. This has given MN3 time to get the EMP, though.
Yeah, dual EMP is up online now. Might be a little bit harder for Seoul Infernal to access the back line, and I'm not talking about MN3, he's okay. Mag and Zest will have to get there somehow, and it's got to be solo onto Mag, and he looks like he's alive, he's fine.
He's alive. The counter EMP came through from MN3 just to try and maintain the counter-offensive pushing power here. Sparkle moves away, so you know what that means. Zest moving over onto the cart. Come down and try and fight us. Maybe MCD can try and keep himself alive. Do you stay on the map is the question. Looking for yet another environmental kill at Shades of Oasis, but MCD is living, and the rally's going to keep Bliss cushioned as well. The Nano in the back pocket, and Stu going to be able to deliver his own. What a kill from Edison. As MCD dances do-si-do around the cart. Take your partner to and throw. Infernal. Back to spawn.
Oh, it's the extra rally coming on through. The extra healing, the extra sustain.
Oh, hello.
The raid boss on the Brig as well. Doing a lot of work there for the Dallas Fuel and skewed down. No opportunity for the Seoul Infernal to re-enter the fight at all. And it's strange occurrence. Well, maybe not that strange sometimes, but both the EMPs played and nobody did at all. Everyone defended well against the EMPs. Now we're starting to head into very tricky territory here. Seoul Infernal, they were on the defending side of this and they won. Now on the attacking end, they too have less than a minute to go. Try and finish B. Very similar ultimates, but a little bit more for the Seoul Infernal. 3 online versus just the one of the Dallas Fuel. Edison, though, ahead of MN3.
Hamid's making Mag work for this bridge. It's so important because it means that he has to work even harder to try and follow up on a dive onto those very safely placed supports. Oh, it's so low.
You gotta go.
So close to another EMP as well. This could be a 3-0 right here. May need to happen right here.
15 seconds left to go.
Touch on the cart.
Edison in first position to maybe go for the EMP. MN3 looking all the way in the back. He'll be able to go for the touch at least, at minimum. Edison, he's deciding who he wants. Does he want the Ana? He's got a double here if he would like to go for it, and he will. Zest the target. Mag is safe, but it is a 4v5, and there's still ultimates online for the Fuel, including the Primal Rage. MN3 still 4% away. They need this EMP Seoul Infernal. They got to be able to commit it. Mag dies at 93. No Primal, and this is looking like a 3-0. MN3 is the only one that can save the day, but can he do it? He's dead. No EMP Seoul Infernal. They're out of options. Can they even touch? It's basically just fix it. That's not going to happen. Even if Zest managed to get it, it would not have been enough. They got the correct members down at the right time. Mag dies before Primal, and MN3 doesn't even get to use the Sombra EMP. And the Dallas Fuel, Dorado was looking pretty tough, but they still pull through to make sure they get the sweep.
Fuel stick their flag in the ground. Did you forget who we are? Did you forget who you're gaming against? The reigning champions. Showing up here in the second half of the season. They finally opened up the hive mind and invited a few new guests. MCD and Bliss, would you like to come and join our mental commune? And the mental commune certainly is its most powerful on the defense, being able to set up these early positions and tax every single movement from the Seoul Infernal, going up against a different caliber of layered defense from the Dallas Fuel. They have managed to take this, even with some weaker pushes on Midtown and Dorado, off some sublime defensive play.
I mean, it was still a reasonable showing coming through for the Seoul Infernal, but for the Dallas Fuel, it's the real deal for sure. The second half of the stage, Kings of Summer coming on through. It's looking like a very good summer for the Dallas Fuel indeed, with Bliss taking away the player of the match. We talked about the dominance on the Brigida a little bit earlier on. Clean defensive play to keep MCD alive. Brilliant whip shot accuracy as well to get some snipes. And all that's left is for Dallas to move on forward and clean up the rest of the teams, because once you've taken down the Infernal, I mean, who really is left to challenge you?
This kid's crazy, man. Bliss. It's one of the few times that we've been able to vote for a main support player of the match and think, you know what, I think that every person viewing this match would be able to understand why the main support is the player of the match, because sometimes it's in the intangibles, or in the things you don't see as directly on the screen, about getting the proper cookie at the proper time, a good stun here and there, a whip shot to deny something like a Nano Winston, but Bliss has been able to frag out of his mind as well, and you're going to see plenty of that in our highlight reel for him. And honestly, I'm really feeling good for Bliss here. It's been a fantastic way to integrate himself into this roster.
You talk about intangibles, but I saw plenty of tangibles today, and it's been Bliss's
This
style
guy's
from day one. I
as they
think.
come.
Yeah, he not a firm, but you can feel him. You know, he's fully material.
He's corporeal.
He is absolutely corporeal. So full tangibility. And that's important for support. I mean, he had so many good shots today. Really good utility usage, all accurate as well, coming through on the brig. And he's also a really good Lucio player. Didn't get to play it today because it's not quite the right meta for it. But this is where the hype for Bliss should be real, because again, he was a player that I had my eye on very early in the season when a lot of other people were quite down on the Dallas Fuel support line. I was thinking, dude, you don't know about Bliss. You have not paid attention how Bliss has been over the course of his contender's career. If you're thinking this Dallas Fuel support line is not going to get insured, they needed a bit of time to warm up. But now that we're in summer, it's real hot, baby.
Avril standing in the corner of the party. If they don't know about my contender's support line. It's been a great job for Bliss. We've always got to trust.
They don't know about Bliss.
Get on it, meme makers. You know what you've been summoned to do. And Rush was never gonna fumble us. Rush was never gonna fumble anything, and neither's Unknown. Here's a quick interview.
블리스 선수 승리 축하드립니다.
Congrats on your win.
네, 오늘 숙명의 라이벌 인페르나를 드디어 꺾어내셨습니다. 소감 어떠신가요?
You took down Rivals Infernal. How do you
드디어
feel?
뭔가 인테르날한테 복수를 해서 좀 좋은 것 같고 되게 기분 좋은 것 같아요.
I finally feel good that we took have our revenge on the Infernal. I feel really good.
굉장히 아쉬운 모습이 많았어요.
네.
오늘 혹시 어떤 부분을 중점으로 준비하고 오셨나요?
So, what was your preparation looking like coming into this match?
쫄지 않고 그냥 열심히 싸우자는 그런 각오를 했던 것 같아요.
So most of it was like mental issues. Like we just wanted to be confident into the match, and we didn't want to run away from fights.
수비 상황 때 4분이 남았는데 아무리 고지대를 선점했다고는 하지만 4분이라는 시간이 굉장히 길잖아요. 그때 어떤 이야기가 오갔나요?
You had to defend Midtown for 4 minutes. Although you had the high ground advantage, like 4 minutes is a long time back. What were the comms like during that defense?
그래서 수비 시작할 때 1포인트를 좀 잘 막자 했었는데 못 막았을 때 그냥 다음할 거 생각했던 것 같아요.
So we just didn't yes, we gave up point A really early on. The comms were like, hey, like, what's done is already done. Let's just move, look what we can do. So it wasn't really much of a deal.
진짜 오늘은 그냥 게임에서 그냥 할 것만 생각해갖고.
Today was really like we were focused on what we can do right now and we will do for the next fight and the fight after that. So comms were really clean today.
굉장히 인상적이었습니다. 죽을 것 같은데도 결국 살려내시더라고요.
네.
근데 제가 얼마나 케어를 잘하면
The supports keeping each other alive was very impressive today, sometimes to the point that I might actually think that all healing capacity was going to the supports. How's like the healing priority like on the team?
피 선수가 이제 한빈이 형 살릴 거라 생각을 해서
So the thought process for me was like, if I keep MCD alive, MCD is gonna keep Hanbin and everyone else alive. So my thought process was just my priority was just keeping MCD alive.
혹시 가장 위협적이었던 궁이 있을까요?
저는 개인적으로 매그 선수 윈선 공 되게.
So was there an ultimate on the Infernal that was most threatening to you?
대처를 하려고 하셨나요?
For me personally, I think Mag's Primal Rage was really threatening today. So how did you counter that? Like, yes, Mag caught us by surprise a little bit, especially on the first map. After that, I just kept focusing on pushing Mag away from our team.
EMP 싸움도 굉장히 관전 포인트였던 것 같습니다. 탱커가 맞기도 하고 힐라인이 맞기도 했는데
EMPs were really a key point for today. Sometimes the tanks got EMP'd, sometimes the backline got EMP'd. As someone on the receiving end, what would your priority be for EMPs?
케어하는 게 편하기는 한데 저희가 맞아도.
I think, to me personally, as a support, maybe the front line getting the EMPs might be a little bit easier for me because I can just keep them alive. But even if the backline gets EMP'd, I think as long as we can coordinate to survive, we'll be fine. Any last messages to the
오늘
fans?
응원해주시는 팬분들 너무 감사하고 저희가 이제 경기 오늘 날에 도시락도 이제 선물 받고 좀 많이 응원을 받았었거든요. 그 덕분에 좀 힘을 많이 받았어요.
Thank you for the support, fans, and also like today also the fans brought us some presents, and I think that was really important for us,
네, 오늘 정말
like getting the
고생하셨습니다.
confidence
승리
for the win.
축하드립니다.
So thank you, and that's the end of the interview. Back to you.
델라스 플리스 선수와 인터뷰 나눠봤습니다.
Wow. Fantastic performance coming through from the Dallas field, and things are starting to look really high for this team. I mean, what is the ceiling at this stage? As I said earlier, leg day, once you've beaten the Infernal, I mean, what really is left to do? I guess win the rest of your games. We'll see if Dallas Field can do that in their future matches, but it's going to be game number 1, done and dusted. Dreamers versus Dynasty next. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you after the break.